Hey guys, welcome back to the Tex-Mex channel. Today we have a 2015 Toyota Corolla with intermittent air conditioning, and when I say intermittent, it's probably inoperative about 90% of the time. So let's figure it out. Alright, so we're just verifying AC's on. We've got no cold air. I can hear when you turn this on that the engine will change its tune a little bit, and I can hear the fans coming on. So we're assuming that it's getting a request. We know that it's getting a request actually because the scan tool, AC signal on, so we're getting that. Our pressures show that we have refrigerant in it, but we're basically not doing anything. So this car is a little bit different in that looking at the compressor isn't going to tell you anything. See, right now you can't see anything. If we turn the AC off, you're not going to see anything. And let me explain why that is. Because this thing has a variable displacement AC compressor on it. And so the way that it works is it kind of has a, it's got like a wobble plate inside of it. So if you imagine this is the plate and you have pistons that come out on either side of it, it will duty cycle like a rod that will change the angle of how much offset that wobble plate is, and that will vary how much output that the compressor gives. So there's not a typical cycling clutch or anything on it. That thing is duty cycled to run at whatever the HVAC ECU will tell it to. So so now it's time to get a little creative and figure out what exactly is going on as to why it's not doing anything. Well, that was easy. We ended up, we just whacked it with a hammer. We whacked the compressor with a hammer, and all of a sudden the compressor came to life. So, give you a little bit of backstory on this car. This car, I think it is a flood car, correct? This car was actually a flood car, and when we first, the customer brought it to us a while ago and was having some issues with it, and one thing that we had looked at was we disconnected the wires to that compressor, and there was a bunch of corrosion in the wires for the compressor. So what we're suspecting is the corrosion has just worked its way all the way down to the internals of the compressor, the electrical internals of the compressor, because obviously it's doing what it's supposed to be doing right now. So it looks like we got a bad compressor. We're going to replace that, clean those terminals up, probably put some dielectric grease on them to prevent anything like that happening from in the future. And so now we'll run down the road, get it to a shop so that they can recover the refrigerant from it, and we'll start knocking this compressor out. Alright, got it back from the shop, all vacuumed out. First thing we're going to do is take off this belt. In order to do the belt, that's going to be 112 up underneath here. It's going to be that 14 that you can't hardly see it, but there's a 14, there it goes, 14 on the bottom of the alternator right there. You just loosen them, and then this is the adjustment. This whole alternator will rock backwards. So we'll loosen those two up, loosen this adjuster up, push the alternator backwards. You can leave it on for this job, and take the belt off. All right, while we're up top here, we'll go ahead and take off this this 10 mil hose bolt for one of the output hoses on it. It's that one right there. It's just easier to get to while it's up here. As are, if you can see that 12 that's right there, that holds the compressor on. There's another one that you really can't see it from up here, but you just have to take my word, my word for it that it's there. Another 12 that's back there. Those are also easier to get to from up top, so we'll take those off. I neglected to mention that other hose bolt, it's also easier to get from up top. So, take both of those off and get them out of the way. If memory serves me right, I think the I can't get a light in there to save my life. If memory serves me right, I think that one of those hoses kind of traps the bolt in place, one of the upper bolts in place. So they're gonna have to come off anyway, but you gotta take those off first before you get the upper bolts off. All right, now we're gonna take our 12s out. Sorry guys, I just can't get a great look at that other one, but there's the one. We're gonna end up pulling that stud out as well. I mean, assuming that we can get it out, because it makes it a lot easier. All right, we got our two nuts off on the top. We're gonna go ahead and take that that stud out. The head of that stud is an E8, e-torx E8. Be careful, sometimes they can be rusty and you'll just break the heads of them off. If that's what's going to happen, then you don't have to take it out, but it's just a lot easier to take that out if you can. And we'll also go ahead and disconnect that connector right there. That's the signal wires for the compressor. So you can see the kind of rust and stuff that's already in there that we were talking about earlier. We're gonna have to try to clean this stuff up as best we can, but yeah, we're thinking that it looks like that on the inside where that little actuator goes for the wobble plate. So we're done up top. We'll go down below and get the rest of it. All right, we're down below. We're gonna take off two of these under shields. We're going to take this one off to get to our compressor, and we're going to have to take this one off to get to our dryer, which is over on the left side of the motor, or not the motor, but the left side of the car where the condenser is. This plate, this skid plate here, is 2 10 mils here, and then just a bunch of these little push clips everywhere else. I don't know how many, probably 6 or so. And then this side one here is 10 mil, 10 mil, 10 mil here, 10 mil here, and then the rest are push clips to get those off. Well, we were partially wrong. There's actually another cover underneath the front cover. That's going to be held in with 1, 2, 3, looks like 3 10 mils also. This is the plug for the dryer. I'll show you how to get that out when the time comes. But now we have our compressor. It's out in the open, so let's get tearing apart the rest of this and get this job done. So the bottom two, they're also 12s, same as the top. There's 2 studs on the front of it and just 2 bolts on the back of it. They're 12s, same thing, E8 Torx to get that bottom stud out. Right now we just got the hoses out of the way just to make it easy to get to. And compressor's out. All right, we're going to try to get a measurement of how much oil comes out of this thing. There's a drain plug on the front. What size was that, Jim? 12 millimeter. 12 millimeter. Spinning that will have no effect on anything, but we will mark that. And I always like to put another like ½ ounce or so on top of it, because you never get everything out of it. But we will mark this, drain it, put new oil in it, and add another about ½ ounce or so, and install that into the new compressor. And always read on your new compressors. Some of them will come with no oil. Some of them will come with an entire system charge. Some of them will just come with, you know, a couple ounces or whatever. Always read whatever is, it'll say in big green letters. So this one says it comes with 3 ounces of the wrong refrigerant oil. So there we go. That's helpful. So anyway, we'll work on that. All right, now we'll go ahead and replace the O-rings that are on the suction and discharge lines. They come in the compressor kit. Always lube up your O-rings a little bit of whatever the oil is that the system's supposed to have in it. Alright, now we're just going to reverse the process. Remember that the studs went on the left side, the bolts went on the right side. What we did with this compressor is it had the wrong oil in it. It said that you can use that oil that was in it if you flush out the whole system and use exclusively that oil, but we're not going to do that. So we ended up draining the oil that was in that compressor out and putting the correct oil in it and putting it back together. So now you never want to run these in all the way, because even though it's on studs and stuff, if you just go to town driving these home, it's going to there's a decent chance it's not gonna line up on the top. So just leave it a little bit loose. That'll give you a little bit of wiggle room to go in. So now we'll lower it down and get the bolts on the top, get the lines back on, and move from there. Seeing this flashlight in the shot like this, it reminds me of you remember Nickelodeon, where it was Stickly? You remember? You don't remember Stickly?
No.
He would host shows on Nickelodeon. We got our bolt and stud started on the top, so we came back down here. Gonna go ahead and tighten these bolts up. Looks like he can actually reach that 12 from up top, at least the left side. Did you already tighten the right one?
Yeah, I tightened that one already.
All right. So I wonder what else we can get from down here. I guess you could do just about this whole job from the bottom. That 110 is going to kind of be a pain in the butt to get from up top, but
They're up.
So now we've got our all of our 12s snugged up on the compressor. We got our two AC lines. We got our two AC lines back on. We got our electrical connector plugged back in. Everything's tight. Now we'll go ahead and put the belt back on. All right. So now, really all that we have left to do is to replace the dryer. So this cap right here is the head of our dryer. It kind of gets in the way of this thing. What we were able to do on this one is we can actually just stick a pry bar and just pry this just a little bit out of the way, and it gets us enough room to get our slightly larger one on and get it out. But we'll get that thing out of the way, and like that. And then the dryer itself is kind of a sock. it'll be up in there. Yeah, you can sort of see it up there. So we're going to use a little pick tool to reach up in there and kind of snag onto it and pull it out. And there is your dryer. Got our new sock, our dryer, ready to go back in with it. So we got our vacuum pump running right now, and just about done with it. We'll go ahead and start putting these under shields on. So we pulled our vacuum, we did our leak test, everything passed, we charged it up. We've shown you how to do that in a previous video, so we will put a link in the description to that. Everything is working normally now. So I realize that this one is kind of an unorthodox scenario. You know, this car was a flood car. There's a good chance that if you have one, it's not going to have the same thing. As well as our diagnostics were pretty obscure. You know, we just whacked on it and it started working. But I will say that this repair, the actual replacement of the compressor, is not that uncommon. I work at Toyota. I've done several of them. The telltale sign that you have one that's bad is if you hook up a scan tool to it and you go into the air conditioning computer, it'll have a code for something about flow rate. I don't remember what the code is, but that's the dead giveaway that the compressor's bad. It thinks that it's flowing more than it actually does, and the solution is to put a compressor on it. So the repair part itself is not uncommon. This particular problem was kind of strange, something that you chances are you're not going to run into. But if you have one that's doing that, it's got that flow code, this is going to be what the repair is. And it's pretty straightforward to do. This is something you can easily do in your driveway or whatever. So anyway, we're going to put this one in the book, so we got it fixed. Like, share, subscribe, comment down below what you think, and we'll see you on the next one.